Hello everybody, welcome to our weekly update video for Module 4. So let's get right into it. All right, let's talk about last week. Last week we had our ChatGPT assignment, the first time I've ever brought that into the classroom. So we'll talk about that. And the midterm, we had the midterm. So let's take a look at the midterm results. Not bad. Overall, 89% average, anything from 100 to 70 were our low scores. So I think everything looks pretty much in line with where I would like to see you folks with that midterm. It typically might skew a little bit higher. And here's what I would say. Average time on the test, again, this is an average, is, you guys took about an hour and 12 minutes on this thing. The allotted time was 3 hours. So if there were some questions you were kind of wishy-washy on, I don't know which way it's going to go, I'm just going to guess. I mean, you had the time there to answer it. So a few more questions could have skewed this a little bit higher if you wanted to take the extra time. If you were happy and you kind of felt like, yeah, I think it's pretty good, I'll probably get a B on it, and you're fine with that, that's a perfectly fine strategy. But I think overall that average could have been gone up if you wished to take advantage of the entire time available. So there you go. But nothing I can see alarming with that. Again, we had perfect scores for a good chunk of folks in there too. So I think that looks pretty good. Also, we had the ChatGPT assignment. First time I've ever brought that into the classroom. I really appreciated that one section in there. I really wanted to get your thoughts about the process, and that was cool because there were a lot of different perspectives, everything from, I'm not sure about this, it's kind of confusing, I don't know, how I'm going to use it, to folks who were like, I'm all in, and this is, amazing, this is revolutionary. A lot of you, there was a lot of feedback on the implications of what this is going to be. And many of you referenced, this seems, how are people going to learn? How is education going to be? Yeah, this is where it's going to change everything. Where historically, and I try not to go too far on this, but historically, learning, let's just say a college education, was the accumulation of this knowledge over 4 years. That's been, not to be overly dramatic, but somewhat done away with what we have right now with ChatGPT and GPT 4.0. Now here's the other thing. Here's the other thing I would argue, or I guess a general insight, is that, and I could be wrong, I'll just say that. So I definitely could be wrong. When you go through school, when you go through your undergrad, your master's, even a PhD, okay, much of, especially at undergrad level, much of what you learn will be forgotten. That is just true. There'll be some general themes that you'll remember. You'll remember some general perceptions. You'll remember the perceptions. But the details will be forgotten. It's like learning a foreign language in high school. I mean, you forget it. It just goes away. But and that's not a bad thing. That's not a failure on anybody's part. What you go away with is an intellectual toolkit. You go away with the ability to tackle problems and to learn new stuff. You could show an employer that you've been able to do that. Again, tackled problems, you learn how to learn, you learn how to put things together. You also show an employer that you can persevere through a difficult thing over a period of time and finish it. That's what they love seeing. Whether the actual details of what you learned, they probably may not care, unless it's something very specific, vocationally oriented, such as, like accounting, if you're going to be an accountant, sit for the CPA, or if you're going to be a nurse. I'll say some of these, even like with nursing, I'm sure some of the and I'm from medical background as well, from imaging. Some of these, let's say physics, like kind of that part kind of goes away. You kind of forget about it. Like, oh yeah, I remember, but you got to be prompted for it. So even some of that stuff that you learn will go away in these more hands-on professions as well. Some of the more theoretical stuff will kind of leave your mind and be replaced with more practical things on actually getting the job, done and delivering patient care. So again, that's kind of the importance of education. It's kind of that exercise that you're putting yourself through to build that intellectual toolkit that you can then use for the rest of your life. How does this fit into it is going to be the question. It's definitely going to have a piece. It's already here. It's now. But how we're going to build that in, I don't quite know. Because we still need, in order to build this intellectual toolkit that I'm talking about, you have to go through the work. So the nature of the work is going to have to change. But we could talk a little bit more in other videos, like what will be the real skills important, going forward in the next, couple of years, or I'm not even talking like 15 years. I'm talking like today, as this stuff rolls out. It just, there's so much that's happening on this front. I want to give you one story that came out last week, and then we'll jump into this week. But there was an employer that got a lot of flack because they made some severe layoffs. They pretty much got rid of most of their customer service area. The folks that answer the phone, when you call in. Now the company was not doing well financially, so they had some definite motivations to improve their bottom line. And one of the moves they decided to do was to have AI and ChatGPT driven processes replace those customer service reps that would answer the phone. And of course, it was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Here's the beginning of it. The employer, had a situation where they expressed like our financial situation is not good. We needed to improve it. Otherwise, the longevity of the firm would not be here. And then all of these other jobs would have been lost. So there was that driver behind it. What also came out about it was wait times for customer service went from like about 7 minutes to 0. Time to solution from the time the customer engages with the company to the time the problem was solved went from it was like amazing, like from to 3 minutes from like 9. And customer satisfaction went up. So all of these metrics went up when they employed AI. Just think about from your own perception when you've done that dial tree and you've gone through all of that, and then you're talking to somebody and they don't know the answer. You're going to dial in, no wait time, and you're going to get the most knowledgeable person about the company available, and that's happening. So they do predict massive impact to areas of customer service. So where I'm seeing this, in my opinion, is anything that deals with a voice or I would even say anything that's put through a wire, anything that goes through a wire or transmitted through the air is going to be somewhat impacted. So voice, image, especially written, all of that could be impacted. So just get your mind thinking about that, because I want all of you to be on the right side of the impact. Knowing that this is already going to happen, how do we position our careers, and how do we use these tools to help us? Because the genie's already out of the bottle. All right. So let's talk a little bit about this week, and then we'll talk about our special assignment that is extra credit. I had someone ask me, do I have to do the extra credit? No, it's extra credit. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. And remember, you can always turn in extra credit up until the last day of the course. So if you feel like you need the points, it's there if you want it. If not, you know, there's no A pluses given here at Mercy College. So if you're already locked in the A, then don't worry about it. All right, so let's go into this week, and we are in our Module 4. And, you know, today kind of a, you know, or this week kind of a regular thing. We have our topic essay. And on risk and return, that is one of the most essential areas of finance is risk and return. Two things, guys. Remember that I said you go away with broad perceptions. I think that's what I said. You won't remember exact, but you'll remember these broad perceptions of what you learn in undergrad. Time value money is one, because you'll never remember how to calculate. You might remember you can get a calculator, and that would be great, and to calculate time value money questions. But time value money and risk and return, that's it. Those two. All right, but that's for this week is risk and return. Let me remove my picture here. Excuse me. And we also have, we have another progress journal. So great job last week or 2 weeks ago doing that one. And a learning activity. And this time I provide you a download with those questions in there. Okay, so that's what we have going on there. Okay, now if you want, you can cut the video out. Everybody have a great week, and I'll see you next week. If you're interested in the extra credit, okay, sit back and I'll tell you about the extra credit assignment. So in kind of our ongoing theme in exploring ChatGPT, its greatest strength is language. Okay, math, we know it's not great with math, especially at the 3.5 version. The 4.0 is more solid with math. And I predict, you know, because everybody kind of knows math is somewhat the weakness of GPT. You know, I probably a year from now it'll be amazing. So, but we're going to dabble in its best ability, which is language. And let's take a look at what we're going to do. And here's what the extra credit assignment is. So if you remember back in Module 1, you had a topic essay on, reading my notes here, on interest rates, stated, periodic, and effective. Okay? You can go back to that. You know, go back to that Module 1 assignment. Well, here, let's just go back to it. Let's jump into the module there. Module 1. Module 1, topic essay. Okay. So, again, on basically the interest rate assignment. What I want you to do is I want you to improve what you had submitted using ChatGPT. Now, here's, and you could play with it however you want. I'm going to show you some prompts that I think are interesting and will probably get you there. But you can play with it as well, which I also found very interesting. Some of you are very prompt savvy with your engineering. Oh, someone had a great idea for a prompt. They used a term to, I think it was use high precision in calculating. So they tried to nudge ChatGPT in our last assignment to use high precision in calculating those answers. I thought that was pretty cool. Again, the overall recommendation is you speak to it like a person. If you talk to it like a person, then maybe just be a little bit, or talk to it like a person who's an employee and that you're asking to do a job. So you're giving them, you know, the correct instructions. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that topic essay that we had. I'm going to go ahead and just remove my picture here. So we're going to take this topic essay assignment. I want you to get that document and we're going to improve the writing. And here's, I've got an assignment here. This is from an older class, so it's not from any of the current students. So I have an assignment. I'll swing it over here to the window. And I've removed all the personal identifiers. This was a decent assignment, but it definitely could have used some improvement in here. There's not a lot of in-text citations. There's a few. The language is a little casual. Definitely could use some, some tweaking, right? And like we used to do like a grammar check. Remove that grammar check. Cancel. We're going to use GPT like the ultimate grammar and writing check of your own writing. Okay, so we're going to take this assignment. So I'm going to pull that off the side. So keep that in the back of your mind. But I got to tell GPT what to do. So here's one technique that I've seen with prompting. So I'm going to take these instructions and I'm just going to copy them. Boom, copy. Go back to my GPT. I'm going to use 4. Paste that into there. Now, if I just did that, it would probably write, I know it would, it's going to write me a paper. But I don't want it to write me a paper. I want it just to say, hey, I know this, and then you're going to tell me what to do with it. So here's a prompt that kind of works. Hopefully it worked this time. I've used it. I used this format before multiple times. So I'm kind of loading instructions. Hold on one second. It's not copying. Copy. Paste. Okay. And I'm just going to cut off the word. Okay, so topic essay. All right. So I have plugged this in as what I would say like my initial prompt. But I've given it additional information. So this is kind of an interesting, like before we were just doing prompts that say, hey, do this. Now we're adding extra stuff in here. So here's what I've told it to do. Just read the following, ing, instructions for a college level assignment. Let me know you have read it only. No other output. So I don't want it to do anything. I just want, hey, just read this. And then we're going to do something with it. So remember, it's going to read these instructions. All right, let's see what it does. I have read your instructions for this college level assignment. Beautiful. All right, good. Next, I'm going to tell it to improve the writing. So I'm going to copy what I've just to save on me typing crazily here. I'm going to bring this over here from another page off screen. So I'm going to say improve this writing using the instructions you have read. Make the writing have an academic quality. And that was the general thing kind of lacking in that other one. I mean, they got a great grade, but it could have been, tighter. And remember, I could tweak this up any way. I could say, make this writing in the style of Chris Rock. I mean, that's kind of fun, by the way. If you could have it do anything, write it in the style of anyone. And that's actually a pretty solid technique. A lot of people are doing that when they're looking for, especially like in fiction work, they're looking for something. But in this case, I'm going to try to have it, have the writing have an academic quality or tone to it. So, let's see what it does. But now I got to tell it what to do. Okie dokie, copying this a bit. Now, this is the hard part. I have to literally copy the paper, and I'm going to paste it right into here. Just dump it right in here. Boom. Okay. And double check, make sure I got it all. Yeah. Okay. So just for example, so let's say the first sentence. For the average person that does not know all the ins and outs of finance, discussions about APR and APY can be very confusing finance gibberish. Now, if I was reading a magazine article or a blog, that's perfectly cool. Probably not the best in academic tone for like an academic paper. It's a little bit too more on the casual side. So let's see what it does in using the instructions and making the writing have an academic quality. Hit the button. Boom. So remember that gibberish statement that it had? Now it's changed it to understanding the nuances of finance, particularly concepts such as annual percentage rate and annual percentage yield, may prove challenging for those without a background in the field. Does that sound a little bit more professional? Yeah, I think so. But I mean, in some ways, it's the same, and the very same. It took that sentence, the spirit of that sentence. But changed it up. So, oh look, it's giving it. Look at this. It's giving us some references. I didn't even prompt it for that. Sometimes you have to squeeze that out of it. So it gave us references for here, and the references look really good as far as APA format. Nice. Yeah. So, again, it kept the spirit of this paper. And I'm just kind of reading through it, like, to illustrate, let's consider this. Okay, there was, yeah, no, definitely, and here's the other, I mean, it took the spirit of that paper, amped it up a notch, gave it more of an academic tone, and you definitely, I mean, it's taken any kind of grammatical errors out of it, and the readability on this is also improved. So that's what I would like you to do. So all I want you to do is take that original paper and prompt it through. If you wish, you can use these prompts in here. You can go back and screenshot, if you will, if you want to, and use that. But here is my first prompt. You got to get it. I found it's better just to load the instructions in its brain first and then do stuff with it, rather than having some super long prompt with a lot of stuff in there. So just read the following instructions for a college level assignment. Let me know you have read it only, no other output. And then my next prompt was improve this writing using the instructions you have read. Make the writing have an academic quality. If you want, you can expand upon that, or however you want to do it. Or you can just say improve for grammar or improve for readability. You could do a combination, improve for academic quality and readability. Totally up to you. But again, you can kind of play around with that. So for this extra credit assignment, you'll do two things. You'll have a Word document, obviously. And then your first Word document, type original, and put your original submission in there. Then type, new or improved or whatever, just type something that I know, like a new section, and then put the, what you were able to create using GPT. You don't have to worry about the prompts, or, I think you guys have you've already played a bit with that. I don't really need to see that. I just want to see the kind of the two, the version 1 and then version 2, and that's it. So that would probably take you, it would take you way longer to watch this video than it will be to do that 10-point extra credit assignment if you want to. But what I don't want you to do, I don't want you to just have it write a paper from scratch, which it will do. It will create original content from scratch. if you haven't figured that one out already. Okay. But what I want you to do is take your already created content and see if it will amp it up for you, and take a look at it and see if you like what it has done. We'll play around. Maybe next week we'll have it do some original content, and this is where I want to make sure that you get, and I've mentioned this in the previous videos, that in any of your assignments here at the college where AI is prohibited or in question, if you don't know whether the instructor will want you to use it or not, ask, okay? You don't want to get into an academic integrity violation, because it is like having another person write an assignment for you to, well, I mean, I would argue to some extent, yes, it is like having another person write an assignment for you. So just make sure you're following whatever rules. Here, definitely, and we're going to be encouraging this throughout all of the courses, through, the word has gone out that, we do want to embrace this here, because it would be a great disservice to any of our students who graduate from here who do not understand how to use this. They will be placed at a large disadvantage to those that are using it in the professional workplace. So, we're bringing in this in the classroom, but trying to figure out how to do it, and with all these other things that we've talked about. But there you go. So there's that assignment for this week. Submit that to the Dropbox, and it'll take you maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes to do. So, so there you go. All right, that's pretty much it for this week. Everybody have a great week, and I will check in with you later.